Hi friends, welcome to Mental Health Memo. Today's memo is that we are going to be talking about the devil's lettuce.
Chris, is that a weed?
No, this is a crayon.
I'm calling the police!
911, what's your emergency?
Except not really. It's kind of like a part of the devil's lettuce, not really the devil lettuce itself, you know? Is that even the right term? Is that outdated? I'm really not hip with the new slang, I'm sorry. So there is a lot to cover in this part, so I'm just going to jump right into it. So first we need to distinguish CBD from the entire cannabis plant itself. CBD, also known as cannabinol, is one of the top ingredients in cannabis, aka the hemp plant, aka marijuana. CBD is part of the cannabis plant that is associated with calmness and also with pain relief, but it does not give you a high. The part of the cannabis plant that does give a high is THC. Essentially, THC attaches to the cannabinoid receptors in our brain and our body, and the two primary ones are CB1 and CB2. And actually, fun fact, we didn't even know that these existed until pretty recently. So very long after cannabis was popularized, we didn't actually know what it was doing to the brain, which is a little scary, but also exciting because it kind of proves that with a lot of research and a lot of work, we can understand these drugs a little bit better. But either way, so THC basically attaches to these receptors and it amps them up. So that's where you're gonna see all the different typical symptoms of being high.
Mr. Gore, someone just called my name. I wouldn't be so paranoid if everyone went out to get me.
So all of that is coming from THC, not CBD. CBD also does attach to the cannabinoid receptors, but it's kind of a bit more complicated and even we don't fully understand it yet. So just to avoid putting everyone to sleep, I'm gonna avoid that discussion. All you need to know is THC makes you high, and then CBD does not get you high. It is associated with calmness and associated with pain relief. So the research for whether CBD actually improves anxiety and supports mental health is quite the mixed bag, and honestly we're still very early on in this research. There are some studies that have indicated there's a bit of anxiety relief, but all of it is done in rodents, so there's not a lot of solid evidence to support that it has therapeutic effects in humans themselves. I actually talked to my doctor about this before I started to kind of get her opinion, and she basically echoed my research, which is that there isn't a lot of very good research being done right now, more so in the mental health department. However, this lack of research has certainly not stopped people from trying CBD themselves. Also, some people even swearing by it and saying that that was their miracle solution. So me, being me, I could not pass up on the opportunity to try it. Before we get into me though, there are a couple things that I still wanted to go over in this part of the video where we kind of talk about literature and kind of the logistics. The first thing that I want to mention is that placebo and the placebo effect can definitely play a really big role in experimenting with something like CBD. For the purposes of getting a clear, concise, and accurate definition, I'm going to actually read the definition of placebo effect to you just to make sure that I don't slander its definition. So here we go. Placebo effect refers to a beneficial effect produced by a placebo drug or treatment which cannot be attributed to the properties of the placebo itself and must therefore be due to the patient's belief in that treatment. So put in very plain terms, if you believe that something is gonna work, it likely will, even if, let's say you're trying out a medication, even if it's actually just a sugar pill, it's not the medication, because you believe that you're taking the medication, you believe it's gonna work, even though it's not the medication, it still ends up working because that's what you believe. And this is not just like a mental thing, there are actual physiological responses and changes in the body when you're experiencing the placebo effect. So yeah, it's actually a pretty big issue in the research world, which is why we want to do a lot of controlled studies and practice randomization and the practitioner not knowing who's getting what to protect from bias and all these different things. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal. But either way, the reason that I'm saying this is that CBD is currently not well supported by research. So it's definitely possible that a lot of folks that are trying this out are actually just experiencing placebo effect and not actual benefits from CBD itself. And just so y'all know, this does completely apply to me as well. I'm not immune from the placebo effect or other fallacies in research. As both the researcher and the participant, it is kind of impossible for me to control for placebo or bias or anything like that. So it's important to be mindful of this when you're listening to me or you're listening to other people's subjective experiences with anything, but even more so with stuff that is not super supported by research, at least right now. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about in this section of the video is legality. So I cannot talk about cannabis without talking about whether it's legal or not. I live in Canada, so here it's completely legal. The government sells it. There is still obviously stuff on the street being sold, but you can get it legally through the government. I got CBD, so there's actually even less restrictions for that because there's no THC in it. Every part of the world is going to be different, so I'm not really sure if you'll have access to it or not. But if you do, please make sure to do it legally. And if not legally, at least do it safely. I don't condone it, but at least be safe, okay? All right, now that the science lesson is over, let's move on to me and why I chose to try CBD oil. So as you may or may not know, I'm a person that has a lot of anxiety. I've been diagnosed with panic disorder, agoraphobia, generalized anxiety disorder, social phobia disorder, just a lot of anxiety pretty much. And because of that, I'm always really excited to try out new things that are said to alleviate anxiety as long as they're like actually safe. And CBD happened to be one of these things. So despite the fact that I know CBD does not have a lot of research to support it, I still wanted to try it out because I know a lot of people that rave about it. Also, I don't do well with prescription medications. My body's pretty tolerant to them, but not tolerant to their side effects, which is really stupid and makes no sense. So I'm always trying to find stuff that can maybe alleviate anxiety that would not give me the same level of side effects as prescription medication. You may be wondering why I chose to do CBD oil instead of the whole plant itself. And the reason for that is actually pretty simple. I really hate the out-of-body experience. It actually makes me more anxious, so it kind of does the opposite of what I'm trying to do.
But you did this for what? Why not? Why? Why not? Why though?
And so because of that, I thought that it would be safest for me and smartest for me to just do CBD without the THC. So basically my goals with this were just to see if this would improve my anxiety, especially any nighttime anxiety because I have a lot of that, and just kind of see where it goes. I didn't have too many expectations because I knew the background of CBD, and I'm also very tolerant to taking stuff like prescription medication or even natural stuff. My body just tolerates really well. So there wasn't too much expectation on my end, but I was just very curious to see if it would do anything. So the plan was basically to order an amount of CBD that kind of falls within the medium range because like I said, I'm pretty tolerant and I wanted to take it every single day, kind of like you would a prescription medication, to see if it would improve my anxiety. And the plan was to do this for 1 month, but it kind of ended up being more because at the time that I was trying this out, there was just so much going on. So it didn't go as smoothly and accordingly to plan as I had hoped, but regardless, here is what happened. So I ordered my CBD legally through the Canadian government, and
hey pals, so today is gonna be the first time that I try the CBD oil. I just feel so dissociated as I'm watching this. I'm just like who are you? I've never met you before.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
This is our first time meeting. Hi, I'm Sveti, your Edison Cannabis Co. I got the one that has very little THC in it, so 0.70 milligrams per milliliter, and then more CBD content, so 10.3 milligrams per milliliter, and it wasn't the worst in terms of price. It comes with a little dropper. It smells like a fart. Or wait. Oh my god. It smells like when you eat what are they called? Asparagus. When you eat asparagus and you pee, and then your pee smells weird because of the thing in asparagus we can't digest. That is literally what this smells like. They said it was gonna smell like smoky and nice, and it doesn't. So I'm gonna start with 0.5 milliliters and like go up from there. I'm just gonna prepare my water in case this is disgusting. And I'm gonna put it underneath the tongue because that's the fastest way for anything to reach your nerves, unless you inject yourself, which I don't think. Do people inject themselves with marijuana? I don't know. Here we go. Am I supposed to swallow it? Or leave it? Ew. 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 It tastes bad. It tastes bad. It tastes bad. Let's see what happens.
Few moments later.
So 15 minutes and 4 rice cakes later, I still don't really feel anything. So I'm actually going to do another 0.5 milliliters and we're gonna see where we end up then.
Much later.
So I've pretty much taken 3 doses now of the full milliliter and I still feel nothing.
Much later.
Alright folks, so I'm getting kind of frustrated, to be honest. I think I have taken 10 milliliters at this point, which should be like 100 grams, or milligrams rather, of the CBD, and I feel absolutely nothing. This is 25 milliliters, so I've literally taken almost half of this bottle and I feel absolutely nothing. I don't know what I'm also supposed to be feeling because I don't feel like I'm very anxious right now. So I don't know if that means that it is working. Right now it is almost 2 in the morning, so I suppose maybe normally I would be more anxious, but I don't know if I'm just trying to make it seem like it's good when it's not because I want it to work and I don't want to do that. I don't want to pull a placebo moment. I don't know, I've taken 10. I'm gonna leave it at that and see maybe if when I get anxious, if I take it instead, if that'll help. Like if I'm actually feeling anxious rather than just in case. But for now, I'm feeling a little disappointed.
Basically, in this moment, I realized 2 things. The first thing is that I need a much higher dose. I thought that a medium dose would be okay because I've never taken CBD, so I didn't want to go super high. But I discovered very quickly that I'm gonna need a much higher dose to have any sort of effect. So that was number 1. Number 2 is that this is not gonna work as a daily medication situation. And what I mean by that is this was not going to be something I take every day to keep anxiety at bay. This was going to have to be more of a take as you need it situation where when I feel more anxious, I take it to prevent worsening anxiety or a panic attack. And that is basically what I ended up doing for the rest of the experiment.
So remember when I said maybe I should take this when I'm actually anxious and see if it works? Well, I found the moment. I was sitting there thinking, what could I do to maybe help myself? And then I remembered the CBD oil. And I wasn't excited, in all honesty, because it did nothing for me, even though I literally took half the bottle last time. But I do want to see if it'll help me when I'm currently in a state of panic. So yeah, let's see if that happens.
3 days later.
So this is probably like the 4th time that I'm using the little CBD oil. Oh my god, I didn't close it properly. So I've been trying to take this before bed to see if it'll help, and I'm finding that this is a lot more effective when like taking as needed. And I do feel that when I take it, I do feel a little bit calmer. I wouldn't say that I feel as calm as like if I was to take lorazepam, which is a prescription medication, but I do feel calmer. And I actually, to really fully give CBD the best possible chance at succeeding, because this is a lower dose, I bought one that is like the max dose possible. It should be arriving in the next few days or so.
One eternity later.
So like I said last time, I am going to order, or I was going to order, and I did order a stronger CBD oil. So finally, after like 3 weeks, I ordered this and they literally seized it. And I swear to God, it has everything to do with my name. Every time I order stuff, because my name sounds very Slavic, people think I'm a Russian spy, even though I'm not even Russian. So like a lot of times I order things and there's issues. So it literally took so long to get this because they seized it and I had to like contact the company. They had to resend it. Like, giant long story aside, she's here. I got the Science Lab 1000 milligram CBD. But yeah, we have our new stronger little CBD friend and we're gonna see how it does.
So I got this new dose. I had a new plan to take it as needed rather than every single day. Like I kind of mentioned, when I was trying this out, I was experiencing a lot of stuff behind the scenes and I ended up kind of not recording daily check-ins or like weekly, monthly check-ins on my phone like I had anticipated and wanted to do, because I don't think I had the energy for it. So I don't have any actual clips of me checking in, but I do remember what I did, how I felt, because I wrote it all down. And so I'll just share with you what happened this way rather than through showing you clips from back then. So what I ended up finding is that the CBD oil did help with my anxiety a little bit, but that was only if I was already at a heightened level of anxiety than I normally am. Basically what I would do is at nighttime, when I was starting to feel anxiety build up or I felt like a panic attack was coming on, I would just take this to try and curb it and avoid it. And I found that this actually did help a little bit with that, but I can't be certain that it was effective at this because the CBD itself was actually effective, or again, if it was that placebo effect. The level of success that I had with the CBD oil kind of reminded me of when I used to take these chewable GABA supplements, and I would take them when I would feel a panic attack coming on to like try and avoid the panic attack, and it actually worked. But when I was in my psychopharmacology class, I discovered that those GABA supplements don't actually have like any research to back them up, and that it was actually just placebo effect that was preventing the panic attack. And so I think it's safe to say that this was probably a similar situation. I also didn't feel any improvements in my anxiety just like overall. When I would take this, I would maybe feel a bit better for a couple hours, but by the next morning or the next couple hours, I was still back to where I normally was. So over the long term, it didn't really relieve my anxiety in any way. So I'm almost done my second little bottle over here of the CBD with the higher dosage, and it's been a couple months, and these are kind of my final thoughts about it. And honestly, I'm not a big fan. My main issue is that this little tiny 15 milliliter bottle cost me nearly $100 Canadian. And when I take it, I need to take at least a couple milliliters for it to have like any sort of effect. And then when I do get that effect, it's very small, and I can't even attribute it to it being the actual CBD, because I don't know if it's the placebo effect instead. If I continued this, I would be breezing through these bottles such a high speed that I would be broke in like 2 months. So that really was like the biggest issue for me. I just feel like it was too expensive. It didn't do enough. There was not enough research. I can't tell if it's actually the CBD or placebo. And I would rather just get my prescription emergency medication that does not cost me that much, that I know is actually gonna work, that is scientifically supported, and use that when I'm feeling a panic attack over this. So yeah, that was my experience with the the CBD oil. It was pretty disappointing, honestly. I know a lot of people that love CBD oil and it helps them a lot, so I was hoping something would happen, but I think my tolerance is just too high and this did not work for me at all. Just because it didn't do anything for me does not mean it will not do something for you. Everyone is different. Everyone has different levels of tolerance. I know some people that will take like a milliliter of this and like fall asleep for 14 hours. I take like 5 of these and nothing happens. So everyone is gonna experience this differently, and some people might get benefits, some people might not. It's really subjective. If you are interested in trying this, then I would recommend that you still give it a go, as long as you talk to your doctor and you can obtain it legally and you can obtain it safely and it is actual pure CBD oil, not laced with anything. Then I would say, why not? You never know what it could or could not do for you, and the only way to find out is if you try. So either way, that is the end of my experiment with CBD. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so that I know what kind of content you like to see. And if you like mental health content in general, make sure to subscribe to my channel and make sure to click the little dingy bell button next to it, just so that you get notifications when I upload a new video. Oh my god, I'm like out of breath. Make sure to also follow me on all of my socials and check out my blog, because I do have that as well. And with that, my friends, I bid you a farewell. I will see you in the next one. Bye.